Hi everyone, my name's David and I'm here to show you an overview of Deskera books. So let's go to the system. Inside here we can explore Deskera products. So this is the Go page. You can see books, CRM people, shop, report builder, doc builder, and workflow engine. So let's click on books. Inside here it says choose how you want to start your journey. Do you want to explore with a demo company or set up your company? So it's up to you. If you're coming in for the first time and want to explore a system, you can explore with a demo company. But for the purposes of this overview, we're going to set up your company. So we're going to click set up your company. So what is your organization name? So I can change it here, like Start Now Private Limited. I can choose which country you're from. For example, United States of America. And this is important because it chooses your tax compliance. So you have to choose the correct country that you want to have proper tax compliance for. I can choose which currency, United Kingdom sterling pound, United States dollar, so I can change it to however I want it. I can select the financial year start date. I can select the book beginning date. For example, June 1st. And what does the book beginning date mean? It means every transaction before this date is an opening transaction. So for your chart of accounts, you have opening debit and credit amounts that you'll have to update. You'll have your opening inventory that you'll have to update, and any outstanding invoices, meaning any opening invoices and bills before this date, you can input in the system. On this date and after this date are all your transactions. Inside also it says, do you collect taxes? Yes or no. So this is again based upon your tax compliance, or which country you selected here. If you selected a country and you don't see it, it's most likely then in the company profile or organization profile under settings. I'll show you that later. So do you collect taxes? Yes. Let's click next. What does your business deal with? Does your business deal with services, digital products, inventory? Do you have pick, pack, ship services? Do you have multiple warehouses? So you select what you want here. And don't worry, you can always change it later in settings, so it's not like something fixed. Let's click All Set. Hold on tight, we're setting up your first organization. Okay, so now we're here at Let's Get Started. So I can click on this and create your first invoice. You can click on this and create your first expense. Import your data. You can import your chart of accounts, products, contacts, and opening balance. And you connect to bank. But first, I'm going to go click on apps. Not apps, sorry. I'm going to click on settings. And I'm going to click on organization profile. I'm going to click on the pencil icon. Now I'm in the organization profile. Under the organization tab, I can add an image. So for example, this could be your company logo, for example. I see my company name, tax registry, and my date format. So if I want day, month, year, or whichever format I want, I can change it here. Under finance, I can see my financial start date, my book beginning date, my reporting currency, number of decimal places, 2, 3, 4. But please take note, you can go up to 4, but after that, you cannot go back to 3 or 2. So more or less, you can increase the number of decimal places, but after you do that, you cannot go back and decrease it. It'll affect with your reports. We have our number format, so you can change the number format accordingly. You can enable multi-currency. For example, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar. And if I want to search, I can type in the currency here. And I can select, for example, Euro, in Euro, and I can save it. Next, let's go to compliance. So this all depends on your tax registry. As you can see under organization, I selected US. So inside here, it shows US compliance. If you select other countries, then it should show other information here accordingly. So I'm just going to put in my tax ID, select the country where I collect, or the state where I collect tax, California. And you can see I can select multiple ones here. Next, let's go to address. I just type in the address. And you can see it populates. Now, if I have more than one address, I can add another address here. Let's see. And if, based upon how I type it, it may populate or it may not have an address. Ah, there we go. And then I can choose current billing address or current shipping address. So this allows me to have multiple shipping, multiple billing, and I can determine if my current billing and shipping is the same or not. So I have a choice here. Then I can click update. Yes. As you can see, all the information is updated accordingly. Next, let's click on settings, and let's click on users. Inside here, you can see my user information. I can click on the 3 dots and unassign role, change role, or reset password. I can add additional users here. For example, John Williams, email address. Let's see. I can input the password, phone number, change the number. What type of role is it? Paid or guest? So what are roles? So for guests, you have the auditor role and the buy and sell. Auditor means you can see everything in the system, but you can't make any changes to transactions or create transactions. Of course, you don't want your auditor to actually make changes in your system. They're supposed to review, see any, abnormalities, not cause abnormalities. And you have a buy and sell role. So this allows you to create buy and sell transactions, products, contacts, your pick, pack, ship, your warehouses, and allows you access to apps as well. So also, just to mention, we have a care article on all this as well. So if you ever want to go see it, I recommend you go to deskera.com/care. And you can see exactly what they have access to. Now, if it's a paid role, and we select accounting, you can see here, view and manage chart of accounts, view and create all the journal entries, import opening balance, create debit and credit notes, create prepayments and direct expenses, record direct deposits, advance payments, view and export all financial reports. And of course, you have the admin. They can do whatever the heck they want, whenever they want, pretty much. They have access to pretty much everything, including your settings. So I'm just going to create this as a buy-sell role and guest, and save it. We also have bookkeeper. So if you want to invite a bookkeeper, you can add in the bookkeeper's email and click invite. Then they can accept or reject. Next, let's go to currency. So if your company deals with multiple currencies, then inside here you can activate them. For example, let's choose Singapore dollar. And if I just want to select one, I can click here to make it visible. And it's added. Now, if I want to add multiple ones, so for example, maybe United Arab Emirates, and let's see, the franc, and I can click activate here. So I can activate multiple at one time. Now, if I want to deactivate one, I just can click on the eye icon again. And I can click on the franc, United Arab Emirates, and I can click deactivate. So I can deactivate multiple or singular based on my requirements. Now, if I want to change the rate or view the rate, I can just click on change rate here under actions. I can see my exchange rate, effective date, and timestamp, and I can update it here, for example, and save. Now, if the rate is non-visible or deactivated, I can view the rate here, and I can see the historical rates. Next, let's go to payment terms. Oh, actually, let's go to taxes. Now, inside taxes, it all depends on what country you're using. For example, I chose a United States company. So taxes are based upon address, so you won't see any taxes here. Now let me go and choose a different country. Or let me just see. Let me sign out quickly and log into another URL or another login so that we can see another country and the taxes in there. All right, so we're just signing in. I'm going to click on settings and let's click on taxes. This, for example, is a Singaporean company, so you can see that their tax is not based upon your address or specific location. It's based upon GST 7%, and there's over, let's say, 24 different types of GST. We can click the eye icon to make it visible or disable, and we can also add tax groups. So if you want to combine multiple of them together, for example, tax group, tax code, type, is it sales, purchase, or both? I can select the components here. And this, for example, may not be, needed in Singapore, but other countries may require it. And is it applied to pre-tax or after-tax? And I can save it. So this is all, again, based upon your different statutory compliance. For example, if I go to Malaysia, settings, go to taxes, you can see something different here. And if I go to other countries as well, you'll see something different. It all depends on the statutory compliance or tax compliance. Now I'm just going to log out of here and log back into the company we're creating. Now let's go back to settings. And now let's go to payment terms. Inside here, I can see the name, term, and quick action. We have the ability to set it as default. So, for example, if net 30 is not your default, and you want to select another one as your default, you can. So let's add payment terms. So inside here, for example, I can add a net 60. And I can put the 60 days in here, and I can set as default. So you can see now it appears here. And if I click the quick action, I can edit and delete it. Please take note, for our default ones, you cannot delete. You only can set as default. Unit of measurements. As you can see here, we have all our default unit of measurements. If I hover over here, this is the edit button, but you cannot edit system default UMs, and you cannot delete system default UMs. Why? I'm not sure. But inside here, I can see all this, and we can add a UM. So for example, MT or metric tons, and I can save it. And you can see it here. And with these, I can edit and delete it. Next, we have our custom fields, sorry. Next, we have our custom fields. And I can create. So we have three different types. We have a text box, we have multi-selection drop-down, and we have numbers. And we have them in different modules, such as contact, product, accounts, journals, expenses, deposits, debit note, credit note, quotation, invoice, purchase order, and bills. So it all depends on how you want to use it. So for example, maybe I want brand, and then maybe I want a multi-select drop-down. I want to add an option here. And maybe we can think of different brands, but I'm just going to use, for example, red. Actually, these are different. Red cover brand, I guess, blue. But you can think of it like very popular brands that are there. Red cover, blue cover. So for example, And then I can go here to availability, and I can set it, for example, under products. So maybe these are my different brands under my products that I can create. You could also create other items, for example, maybe contact person. And I can set as mandatory if I want or not, and I can put this under contacts. Maybe there's a contact person I specifically want. And I also want to see it in the invoice and the bill or quotation and purchase order. So I can select these as well. And we also can create, for example, numbers. So for example, maybe, let's see, size of company. Decimal precision, how many decimal places? So for this case, it'll be 0. And I'll select company. So this may be, for example, if you're selling PPE or specific items for each company, it's good to know the size of it, or the size of the shop floor, size of the people there. That way you're able to provide an estimate accurately of how much quantity they really need. And of course, they'll probably update you with the information, but at least you have a ballpark idea. Now let's click on bulk import. Inside here, you're able to import your data with ERP from QuickBooks and Xero. So if I click on QuickBooks, it'll ask you to authenticate, and we're taken into it, where you'll have to put in your email or user ID and password and sign in. For Xero, we're going to have to click on Xero and click on authenticate. So I'm just clicking on Xero, clicking on authenticate. And inside here, it asks me to log into Xero. Email address and password and log in. Then you can migrate your accounts, your products, and your contacts. Next, let's click on email, and this will allow you to connect your email account to send emails directly in Books. You can put your sender name, sender email, username, password, your server host name, and your port number. Let's go to contacts. Inside here, it says start by adding or importing your contacts. So we do have an import option here. And you have a choice. You can download our sample file, or you can just take your file that you've downloaded and then drop it in here as well. So I'm just going to download the sample file. And then I'm going to open it on up. And I'm going to share the screen. Sorry, 1 second. Share. With my Excel sheet. So this is our default template. You can fill in the information, or again, you can use your own. So we have a sample sequence code, contact name. So let me call this Mike's Computers. Jim's computers. And just for the sake of argument, let's say we're importing from your own. We'll call this instead org, for example. We have our currency. We can put in our email address. You put in your accounts receivable, accounts payable. Your payment term, is it net 30, net 60? Your billing address, line 2, country, billing state, billing city, your postal code, your shipping address, shipping country, shipping state, shipping city, tax number, tax is exempt and tax exempt reasons. Please take note, this changes based upon your statutory compliance or your country tax compliance. So this is for the US, and that's why you see this, but for other countries, it'll change. Also, we added in a custom field, so I can just add it in here, for example, and also contact person. So if you have any custom fields, just add it directly to template. I can save it. Oops. Let me save it. And let me close it. And let me share screen. All right. And I'm just going to drag and drop the file in here. You can also click Browse, select the file, and click Open. I'm going to click Next. And you can see everything has been auto-mapped, including my custom fields. So inside here, I can see is my custom field here. Yep, size of company. Click on it, it maps. You can see I changed this instead from contact name to org. Now it's asking me to map. So if you have your own Excel sheet and you want to use it here, you can just map it. For example, this one will be this one, contact person. Everything looks good. Click Next. Now the import properties. We have many import options. We can add new record, update existing record, add new and update existing record. In case of duplicates, you want to reject the duplicate or import the duplicate rows. And in case of invalid values, reject the entire row, reject the invalid value but import the row, or add the values in the dropdown so you can choose what you want to do here. I can check the information. If everything looks good, I can click Submit. If not, I can just update directly on the screen and apply. And then I can submit. Now, if I go to my contacts, I can see they've been imported. I can also create a new contact. So I can put in the name, email address, tax number. So let's call this Marie's Keyboards. Email address, tax number. And inside here, I just want to show you can create your own custom running number. Prefix, separator, display digit, separator, and suffix. And I can set as default. I can also click on custom fields here, and I can update it here directly. And save it, and you can see it populates here. Under accounting, I can see this information, and under address, I can update. And I can save it. Next, let's click on products. Again, we can create a product or we can import a product. And just to show you, we have tracked, non-tracked products, and also bill of material products. So it's similar to this previous option of importing, so you got a pretty good idea through contacts. But I recommend you please download the bill of material products because it's slightly different than maybe your Excel file. So please take a look at that before importing, if you're importing bill of materials. Let's click Create New Product. Inside here, I can add an image of my product. So for example, let's see. Maybe a camera. And inside here, I have three types of products: non-tracked, tracked, and bill of materials. A non-tracked product is like a service product. You can think of it, for example, as aircon repair, gardener, certified public accountant to do auditing, or you can consider products that you just don't want to keep track of, such as your computer printing paper, maybe those mugs that you give away to your clients. You know, you don't really keep track of it. Once they're running low, you just reorder them. We have our track products. So this is like, for example, your camera, your laptop, your keyboard, your apples and oranges, so many different possibilities. They're items that you buy and then you sell them out. And of course, we have our bill of materials. These are assembly products. So for example, if you consider a desktop, it has a keyboard, a mouse, a monitor. In the desktop itself, it has a motherboard, RAM, CPU, a wonderful fan to keep it cool, and a good old casing for it. And you have to assemble all that to create a product. So that's your bill of material. You can also think of it like chicken soup. If you want to look at the food products like chicken, celery, noodles, chicken broth, you assemble it together to make soup. So I'm going to first go to tracked. I'm just going to put in here IT support. You can put in description, barcode. Under accounting, you can put in your purchase price here, your sales price here. Is it taxable? Again, this is based upon your country's tax compliance. It changes per country by country. This is a US tax compliance, so that's why it's showing here. And under inventory, you can select it. Is it units, kgs, pieces, hours, and then you can determine it here. Let me just select something different. Maybe since it's IT support, put that image there instead. And let's just create another product, a track product. This time we're just going to add a camera. Now, inside here under accounting, it's the same information. Sales price 1,000. And these are your default amounts here. So please take note, it's just default. It'll show up in your transactions, your buy and sell transactions, but it will not be like fixed. You can go in and change it to whatever you'd like. Now you'll see our inventory's changed. We have now units, kgs, pieces, same thing. We have units, but we now have cost of goods sold, inventory, and inventory adjustment. We also have opening balance, so opening quantity and opening valuation. What does opening quantity and opening valuation mean? We were talking about book beginning date earlier. So this is the quantity before your book beginning date. So for example, if I had an opening quantity of 10 and my opening valuation was 10,493, this means that these 10 pieces of cameras is equal to $10,433, $93. So this is the total amount of the opening quantity. Next, I want to enable advanced tracking. We have batch tracking and serial number tracking. So batch tracking is for a group of products. So you can think of it like when you go to a grocery store, you buy some vegetables. They're all in different packages. They're all batch managed. And I don't know in Singapore if you have it, but I know in the US, sometimes the FDA comes out and does a recall. So you need to be able to see the batch. You need to know if you bought this batch and it's recalled based upon it, and it goes back to the store. It's contaminated. You don't want to sell it to your customers. They'll get sick and probably sue you. So you'll have to see what you need to do. And we have serial number. So you can think of it like your laptops and even your camera. There's a distinct serial number based upon the camera. They may have a warranty based upon it as well. So you have that product, and each individual product has its own unique identifier. So let's save this. And then we can go create a new product. And inside here, we have bill of materials. So you can think of it like our assembly products we were discussing earlier. But in this case, I'm going to create instead a package. So camera and port. For example, or you can even call it camera sales, or camera holiday, what do they call it? Package. So, for example, camera holiday package, it's a special event. Again, I could put in the purchase price, sales price, inventory, and here's the bill of materials. So again, I can do it multiple components here, or I can have different items. For example, camera, one quantity, maybe I want one camera. Let's see, any other items? Nope. So we'll just have the one camera here, and then we'll add the additional cost. Assembly. 10, let's see, anything else? Assembly. IT support. $60 is the cost, for example, and then we can save it. But the more products you have, the more items you can do it. So for example, now we have a bill of material here. Next, let's click on warehouse. And then let's add a warehouse here. So I can add additional warehouses like Fresno. Add in the address line, put in the country. And you can think of it as different areas. So for example, you may have one giant warehouse and you have multiple different locations. So you can create them and you can add in more information per warehouse. For example, maybe you say Fresno Warehouse, level 1, section A. Fresno Warehouse, level 1, section B. And you can create that. Or if you're in a restaurant, you can think of different pantries. Or you have different outlets for retail stores. Like inside you have Los Angeles, San Pedro, San Diego, San Francisco, multiple outlets that are storing it. And then you have one main warehouse in the middle of nowhere that contains all the goods and it's just shipped out there. Next, let's click on accounting. Inside here, we have our chart of accounts. So I can see all our different charts of accounts here. And I can add, and I'd like to add a type. And cost of goods sold, current assets, current liabilities, other expenses. So these are all my different types. And so you have to select one of these. So let me select bank. Let me go AC-0001. I'm going to call this Wells Fargo. And I can save it. And you can see my bank has been added. I can also import my chart of accounts by clicking here and downloading the sample file. And I can export it. Next, let's go to openings. So inside here, I have all my openings. And this is my debit and credit amount. So again, this is all your openings for your chart of accounts before the book beginning date. Usually the book beginning date falls at the end of a month. The reason for this is finance usually does its month-end closing at that time. So that way you can see the different types. You have the correct amount at that time. So for example, $1,000 to Wells Fargo, and then I can select where the other amount should go. And then I can save it. We also have our inventory. So I can see my opening quantity here and I can update. And under contacts, I can add in, I can see my companies and I can go and create opening sales invoice, opening billings. I'm also able to click import my open sales invoice and my opening import bills. So I can just click here and import my openings. Next, let's click on financial year closing. And now I can select the closing period. Is it monthly, quarterly, yearly, or do you have a custom closing period? You can select which one you want. And the key thing is once you close the period, you should not be able to make transactions for that closed period. That would drive finance insane. They closed it, everything looks right, and then all of a sudden it changes the next day. They'd be pulling out their hair screaming. So it all depends. Usually I see it as monthly. And this is your retained earnings account. So this is where the information will be placed. So, for example, usually it's retained earnings, but you can create your own account and select it here as well. And then you click save. Then I can select the period. And then I can close it here. Of course, we have no transactions to close, and I can click on settings and make changes here. But if I close the period, I can select the closing period, the month, and the period name. So it would be most likely June-2021. But of course, we have no transactions to close, so no point. All right, so we're going to now go to the sell module. And inside here, you can create a quote, you can create an invoice. You can also click the X button here. And then inside here, we have quote, we have invoice, we have archive. If I click create, we can create a new quote, a new invoice. If I click on invoice, we can also import. So you can download a sample file. Inside there, you can look at the information and then map it to however you want it, and then you can import it. So let's click create new invoice. Inside here, I can select my contact, and I also can add a new contact. So if I click here, I can put in the name, email address, tax, accounting, and again, I can put in the address. And then I can save it. So I don't even have to go to contacts. I can just create it right here on the screen. I'm just going to change this to Marie. Marie's keyboards. And I can select here and I can see the default shipping. I can add a line item. So we're going to add a camera. And I can see the pieces here. So for example, maybe I want one camera Discount options, I can put 10, and this is your flat discount. If I put a percentage sign after, it becomes a percentage discount. I can attach any files, put in a memo. I can go click here for custom field settings. And if I want to, I can hide contact person if I want. I can set as recurring. I can set it as monthly, weekly, yearly, custom. And how many days, weeks, or months. First document date, ending date, never ends, and I can auto send. So for example, it never ends. I select the date. And I can see here, and I can save it. I can input the contact person here. Under running number, I can manually input, use our standard, or create a custom running number. Again, prefix, separator, display, separator, and suffix. I can set up payment, Beam, Stripe, PayPal, or not applicable, and I can save and close. And it says here, save and create a back order because I don't have enough quantity, so that's why I save and create a back order. But I'm just going to save it. If I click on 3 dots and click fulfill, I can do direct fulfillment. We also have 2 other types of fulfillment. We have pick, pack, ship, and we have drop ship. And if I click get paid, I can choose the bank, payment type, select the currency, choose the reference date, reference number, and I can receive it. I can close. Next, let's click on buy. Inside here, I can create an order or a bill. So let me close this and let me click on create new. So you have a choice of a new order, new bill, or new expense bill. We're going to create a new bill. Add contact. So for example, Jim's Electronics. Add the line item. We're going to select the camera. We have the quantity here. Again, I can put in the discount, attach, memo. We have custom fields, settings, set recurring, multi-currency. Again, I can manage. So this applies to invoice and bill. So I can change the label for items, description, quantity, price, and discount. I can click here and change the running number, and I can save and close. After that, I can click the 3 dots and click receive goods. And inside here, I can see the receiving, the warehouse. I can choose which warehouse I want it. And I can click here, and I can put in the batch number, for example, S-1, and I can assign it. And I can click done, and I can receive it. And then I can pay. Choose the bank, payment type, reference number, and pay. Next, let's go to account transactions. So we're going back to accounting. Inside here, we have our journal entry, debit note, credit note, expense, deposit, and these are our different transactions. So if I click on journal entry, inside here, I can create a normal journal entry or a fund transfer. Fund transfer means I'm transferring from one bank to another bank, cash to another bank. So for now, I'm just going to click on normal. I can change the currency, select the account, add in the payment amount, select another account, for example, input the amount, and input the memo. And of course, this has to tally. If it does not tally, you'll get a wonderful error message. Unbalanced amount, for example, 90. And I can attach an image and I can save it. Next, I'm going to click on this button here, and I'm going to change the company to Electronics. I'm going to click on Bank. I'm going to show you bank reconciliation. So inside here, let's go click on Reconcile for Wells Fargo. And inside here, I can see my different Deskera transactions. And if I have any bank transactions, they would appear here. Let me just check. Bank. Yep, so inside here, you can see all the different bank transactions. And you can see certain ones match and certain ones don't match. So I can click match here to match them. I can also go to click on my bank. I can click on bank transactions here. And for example, I can just click on, for example, this one. And I can click match. And it says here very simply, create a deposit. So I can create one right on the fly. I can find invoice to match, or I can find deposit to match. And the system already found the deposit. I can select it and I can match it. So I can do that right here on the screen. I can also see my Deskera transactions. And finally, we have add rules. So for example, if I want to create a credit type for a bank, and I want the description to contain, for example, Austin, then I want the contact to be Austin Ideas, for example. Maybe I want this to be Austin Idea. I can choose the account. Any tax components I can select here. I can select the payment method, put in the reference number, transaction type. Is it advance payment or direct deposit? Put in the memo. So why is this important? This allows you to automatically create transactions from your bank, by your bank transaction. So when you pull in the bank transactions, the system will automatically create it. You don't have to create it one by one by one, which can be very painful. So here we have review and create, which means I have to review it first and then it'll create it. Or I can auto create. So it means that the transaction will be automatically created based upon this criteria. And then I can view matching transactions here. Excuse me. And I can see here, Austin Ideas. So when the Austin Ideas transactions come in, I can map it and it'll automatically be generated. And let me click on the three dots here, and let me just click here, connect. We have connect to Stripe, and we have import statements. So if you don't want to connect to a bank, you can actually click on import statement and import it into the system using our templates. Or just put your template into the import file location, and then just map it. I'm going to click on connect, and it says connect to bank. So we're going to use played, and then I can search here. For example, I see my Wells Fargo, Bank of America, my different US banks. So it all depends on your statutory compliance and which type of service are you using. So for example, let's see, Wells Fargo. So I see Wells Fargo here. Let's see. And Bank of America and any other different banks. But you just can search here and see what's available. And they all have different ways to sign in. For example, user ID and password. Next, let's click on apps. Inside here, we have our different payment gateways. So we have, for example, Veeam, PayPal, Wise, and Stripe. So if I want to receive a payment from a customer, then I can use Veeam, PayPal, and Stripe. Veeam, though, is only USD currency, so your base currency has to be US dollars. And if I want to make a payment to a vendor, then I can use Veeam or Wise. But please take note, your base currency for Veeam has to be USD. Now we have several of these modules that integrate to multiple different types of applications. So we have Integrately, Pabbly, Zapier, and Integromat. So they connect to different types of applications. If you want to connect to a third-party application, you can check these out. We have our fixed assets. We also have our stock transfer and stock adjustment here. So that way you can have your fixed assets, you can do stock transfer from warehouse to warehouse, and you can adjust the stock. And we, of course, can track our shipments by USPS and FedEx. So if you create pick, pack, ship, or you just created a fulfillment inside the system, you can click on this and track it by the tracking number. And we have e-com. So inside here, you connect to Amazon, you connect to Shopify, you connect to WooCommerce. And then once you connect, you can pull in your products, your different transactions, your contacts into the system. Next, let's click on books and let's click on reports. Inside here, you have your financial reports, your profit and loss, your balance sheet, your cash flow statement, your general ledger, your trial balance. You have your reconciliation reports, your statement of accounts. Now here you have your tax report. So each country is different. So for example, in the US, we have sales tax report, but in other countries, you'll have different types of reports based upon your tax compliance. We have your purchase reports. We have your age payable, your debit note, your purchase by product. Under inventory, we have our stock availability by warehouse. So you can see where all your stock is located. We have our stock ledger. We have our stock aging report. So inside here, is it 30 days, 30, 60, 60, 90, 90 to 120, over 120? How long has your stock actually been there? So for example, my laptops, they've been there for over 120 days. We have 21 of them. What's going on? Why are they not moving? What's happening? So I can find out what's moving and what's not, and what do I need to do? I can look at other reports and try to figure out what to do about this stock. We have our sales return report and our purchase return report. This is good to see because, for example, if you get a lot of sales returns, you can see which products getting returned. Purchase return. Are you buying from a specific vendor all the time? Is that vendor all of a sudden always giving you cruddy products and you're always returning it? Maybe the lower price is good, but if you're always returning it and getting new products back and it's ruining your reputation with the customers, it may not be very great. And of course, we have our age receivables. We have our invoice list, sales by product, our receipt list. Age receivables is good because you can see how long a invoice has been outstanding. And if you're a small to medium-sized business, it's great to have money and get your cash in there. And that was a quick overview of Deskera books.